Welcome to the Football Critters Podcast. I am your host, The Bear, my co-host.
The Otter.
Today we're going to talk about this cornerback class, man. It's pretty amazing, honestly.
God, I love these corners.
You know, I'm used to seeing about 4 or 5 corners that I really like every year. But man, this year it was tough to make a top 10. It really was. I mean, I think the top 15 are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I would be able to complain about. I mean, there's all of these guys. I think in this draft have some weaknesses. There's no like bona fide like superstar blue chip guy.
Well,
But-
I think there's one, but that's okay.
That's yeah. Like I said, that's what I think. But because they all have their weaknesses.
But that's every year. I mean, honestly, it really is. One thing that's really nice about this class is most of these guys have quite a bit of playing time wherever they played at. In our top 10, I mean, I think there's only one player that's played less than 3 seasons of college football.
Well, maybe your top 10. Well, my top 10 has a different story.
Interesting.
I guess I mean, seeing as that, mind if I just kick it off with my number 10?
Yeah, let's start with number 10.
All right, my number 10 is Kyrie Jackson with less than 700 career snaps to his name at cornerback. I know his inexperience is definitely something I worry about, but man, his athleticism
And his size,
his burst to the ball, his physicality. And for even having as little experience as he has, I think his technique was actually pretty good. He's inconsistent still, but he shows a lot of the great footwork that is required, and some of his backpedaling and being able to transition is pretty smooth for the most part. And I think he can play a variety of different roles and schemes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's very versatile.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, his freakish athleticism, I mean, it's pretty awesome.
He's like a moldable ball of clay it's already pretty good.
You know where I don't want to see him go? The Patriots.
Oh, maybe.
He is a typical Patriots style, like diamond in the rough.
I would have either said that or like old style Seahawks teams. Just being that tall, physical beast.
You guys aren't going to draft a corner.
Not now. I'm just talking about like maybe like the 2013, 15 style. They just like their tall, large physical corners. But I don't know. It's like in my brain, he's an inexperienced, but it doesn't mean he is bad at what he does. It just means he's just still. What's the term people use? They use it like he's green, which means he's young. He just doesn't have the reps as everyone else does, but he still shows out on his capabilities. Not consistently, but I think his ceiling is insane.
So he was 15th on my list or 14th on my list. One of the knocks I had on him is he was a rotational corner for them. He wasn't on the field all the time. In fact, at first when I was watching his tape, I'm like, wait, where's 5 at? I'm like, I'm not seeing him on the field right now. And it was quite often. And it was in some big games too. I also noticed that he should have had a handful of interceptions and he just could not catch the football.
Yeah, he does have trouble getting his head around too. I did notice that, but
I mean, with his size, it's hard to expect, for him to have that kind of body control, but that was pretty tough for me to get over. Look, I mean, there's so much to like in this guy. I did also notice that it didn't seem like they left him on an island very often as well. I don't know if that's something you noticed, but
yeah,
it didn't seem like they fully trust him the way their scheme was built.
Well, his whole thing too is like him going forward is a different animal than him going deep downfield.
Agreed, yeah.
Like him going forward, he's a menace.
Yeah.
And
especially
like in run defense and tackling on hitches and corners and crossers. He's like great at coming downfield, and he's great in those man situations. But I did notice going down the sideline or going deep down like some seams,
He got burnt.
he does have. No, he hasn't get like there was times he got burnt because he hesitated or he falls for like double moves sometimes.
He does, yeah.
But he doesn't adjust consistently down the field. And I think they did notice that, and they put like a safety over him just in case it ends up going deep, just to limit his weakness in that.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean I don't think he can learn it. I feel like I feel like as time goes on, like iron out that wrinkle, I think he'll be a monster.
I mean, his change of direction, I definitely noticed was a little off.
Yeah,
little slower than I'd like, but he's also a bigger guy. I mean, what is he?
Yeah.
6'3", 190 something around
195, almost
195. Okay,
yeah.
so I was I figured I was up there.
It's almost 200.
Yeah, I mean, which is a
his
good,
play weight
great
will probably go up.
size. I mean, I also complained a little bit that he got bullied in blocks, but I mean that's not uncommon for any corner. That's me just being a little nitpicky. Yeah, I mean that's really.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I really didn't see him as a slot or a safety. I don't see him ever playing either of those roles.
Mm-mm.
But to me, he's definitely an outside corner.
Oh yeah, no, he played about 85% of his snaps at outside corner last year.
He had a decent amount of pass breakups too.
I'm curious which games you saw for how like him limiting his playing time, because he's
Washington.
He's got the Washington game. He almost had 50 snaps, both of them, and the Oregon State game, which is his last week, he had 60 snaps.
I don't know if I watched Oregon State. That one I don't think I watched.
There was a couple games like early in the year, like Texas. Well, even Texas Tech, he almost had 60.
I didn't watch Texas Tech either. I do not remember offhand which other games I watched. I'd have to look at this. Do you have their schedule up? Let me see.
Yeah.
I watched the Colorado game. I don't remember what the other. Oh, and USC. Okay. I watched the USC game too. Those were the four, because I definitely wanted to see his progression from that first Washington game to the second. See what he may have done differently.
Right.
And I definitely wanted to see him play against USC, and I watched Colorado as a team I just haven't watched a lot of film on. I should have watched Washington now that I look at it, just because I haven't watched a lot of them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not a team that I usually watch during the year. And kind of got to get caught up on them because they got a safety we're going to be looking at, Hicks. I can't wait to get to him.
But yeah, I mean, Kyrie Jackson, if you want a big physical mold of clay, that honestly has more good traits built in than his bad traits. He just needs to iron out all the bad traits he does have. I think you'd be a awesome like second, third rounder, somebody you really want to build upon.
Yeah, I see him as a solid third round pick.
Yeah,
like his athleticism alone, to me, is enough to make him a third round pick.
Yeah,
and he, he's pretty smart.
Yeah, I think so too.
For the little playing time he has compared to some of the other guys on this list, I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting more consistent mistakes with it, but I don't know. That's just how I felt about him. I really liked him, and the experience does scare me, but I don't know. There was just some magic to his play style that really resonated with me. But who's your 10?
I really like my number 10.
Like really, really like your number 10?
I like him for my team.
I see how it is.
Yeah, I would like him to be drafted by this. I would be okay if the Steelers drafted him, and that's Mike Sanistrell out of Michigan.
Damn, you got Sanistrell as your 10.
He's a dog, man.
He is a dog.
I do worry a little bit with him just because he was on such a star-studded defense. I mean, he's definitely a slot corner, and that's what he is day in, day out. He's a fantastic hitter. I think his hitting and tackling is very, very good.
Yeah, I loved watching him play.
I think he was a 3-year captain of the defense, which on that defense, man, there's been a lot of guys over the last few years.
3-year captain?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Damn. His first 3 years in college, he was a wide receiver, so maybe he was a
2-year, maybe
2-year captain.
Oh no, yeah, 2 years. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
He was a wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, the way he plays contested catches is fantastic. I definitely am very impressed. with the way he plays. I mean,
Yeah, he's got insane ball tracking skills.
yeah,
And he's great at the catch point, pass breakups, interceptions. Like he's got the pedigree to at least be a playmaking corner. And it also comes with the IQ. Like he understands what the offense is about to do, and he understands routes based off his experience.
yeah, and I think
And
Michigan runs like a NFL style defense. Like they're about as close as you're going to get. I mean, he's my second highest slot corner.
yeah.
Like all in all, I man, there's so much to like with him.
Oh man, he is not afraid to be physical with all the heavy corner
No,
that comes in his way.
he's a dog. I mean,
He's
that's what I wrote in my notes to
just
start off.
jamming him at
He's
the
a dog,
line.
man. He is not afraid to throw his body around, and that's I think kind of rare in this group.
Yeah, I mean, like I just think of like Mike Hilton and how he's kind of like that physical type where he's not afraid to tackle, but he's more aggressive than Mike Hilton was for the Bengals.
I did notice that his receiving percentage was a little higher than I would like. Definitely wasn't at the low end.
Yeah, about what 58% or something
It was
like that.
53, I think.
Not a lot of
Oh no,
penalties
it's
though.
58. Yeah.
He's only had one penalty.
No, he had one penalty all season. Actually, to be honest, on this list of my top 10, there wasn't many that had high penalties.
No.
I think the highest I've seen is four penalties of this group, and he's going to be next on my list.
Yeah, I haven't really tracked penalties too much, so I'm glad you are.
Yeah, I mean, holding.
He was my 7th guy on this list, so I really liked watching him play.
And I don't blame you. It's just the defense he was on. Like I feel like I don't fully trust what I saw in him just because of the team he's on.
Yeah.
And I hate doing that, but we've seen plenty of corners like this where it's like, oh, well, this guy's really good out of Georgia, but it's like, well, the whole defense was good.
Right.
And, that's kind of a situation we have here. And I think he's a great slot corner, but I think that's all he is.
That's fine. I think my value for him is like a late round 2 guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking like late round 2,
and you
early
can
round
you're
3.
getting a good slot. Like,
yeah, the second best in the class as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. No, I really.
And there's some other guys that didn't make my top 10 at slot that I think are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely 2 other ones, and we'll be talking about those 2 in a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's concerns with how his experience will translate because he only has 2 years of experience.
Yeah,
he's a little older.
Because he was there for 5 years,
so it's like
3 years at wide
how's that
receiver.
going to affect his learning curve? I mean, obviously, you can tell that all his experience at the wide receiver position translates very well into corner because he can see what the offense is doing, and especially when it comes to routes. And that's why he's also been playing in zone a lot of the time. Like you can tell he's very comfortable in zone and just picking and choosing because he's very explosive going downfield. So I think I need to see him a little more in man, but yeah. What?
You gave him a 9 out of 10.
As in my enjoyment. Yeah, that's how he got that high.
Yeah, I give him basically an 86.
For what? Oh, this is my favoritism level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I give him a 9 out of 10.
My grade was like an 86.
Yeah, no, my actual grade was like it was an 86. No, wait.
Oh, no way.
85, sorry.
Yeah, same. Well, no, mine was an 85.8.
85.3.
Yeah.
So
we were right on.
So
there.
we see it the same. I think maybe our levels are just different.
My next guy has a little favoritism anyway, so
right.
He really Sandstrel, you could argue, would probably be number 9 on my list.
Nah. Just let your favoritism fly.
There's only one with favoritism.
Blow people's minds. You might as well just reveal who your number 9 is at this point. Come on.
That's Kalen King out of Penn State. This guy started as a true freshman at Penn State. He's got some of the best versatility in this class. Somebody said it, and I can't remember which draft analyst said it. And when he said it, I was like, I kind of see it, and they compared him to the corner you guys drafted last year from Illinois. Well, I can't think of his name. It's driving me
Oh,
nuts.
Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah, I don't think he
Ah,
has the motor that Witherspoon has,
oh, maybe.
but a lot of the qualities that Kalen King has were a lot of things that people liked about Witherspoon. I mean, I think he had an off year this year, and it's a shame. But I'm sorry, 2 years ago when it was him and Joey Porter, who the world seems to love because of his name, Joey Porter wasn't the number one corner at Penn State. It was Kalen King.
Let this man cook.
And,
Keep cooking, bud.
he's also played safety. He can play inside, he can play outside. I think he's one of the better hitters in this class. I do think his speed has definitely dropped a notch, and it's really bugging me why. I really hope it's something that he can jump back from, but it's pretty obvious all of a sudden. Like when you look at his jump from 2 years ago to this year, there seems to be a speed difference. But I think he's a very intelligent corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's very football smart. I think his eyes on the quarterback are very, very good.
Yeah, it's very. I wholeheartedly agree. Like his football IQ, he recognizes and reacts quickly to plays. Like I've seen him blow up a bunch of screens, beat blocks on the ball when he knows like when screens are being set up. I think his technique is actually really good too. Like he's very fast. His feet are always moving, but they're never like out of sync. Like he's not. The only thing that kind of confuses me about his play, it's like the hesitation he has. I don't know what makes him hesitate. I don't know if they're asking him also to do more on that defense.
They
That's
definitely
causing
did
him.
this season. And in fact, it made me really upset with the defense for one reason. And it was that in a lot of cases they weren't stopping the run. And he had to go in there and stop the run.
Yeah.
He had to come from outside to the inside and stop the run on a play. And I'm sorry, I don't expect an outside corner to do that. And I don't think anybody else on this list does that. Especially the
No.
top guys. Like I never saw some of my top guys. The only one on this list that I think I might have seen, there's two on this list that I've seen go out of their way other than King. And that was, we'll talk about those guys in a little bit, but King is a great teammate. He's a great player. He's got a lot of experience. He's very versatile. And I think his football IQ is great. I think he's a project this year because I don't know if it's an injury or what, but he has lost a step in the speed.
That's why I'm like, if it's not an injury, what's the other reason? And that's what
I mean,
the only thing I can see and think of is okay, his role is more expansive now. He's got more stuff to think about. Is he covering for weaknesses of other players on the team like
they lost.
he didn't have
Porter,
to cover for Porter. Porter was a good player on the outside.
but
Obviously, he wasn't the shutdown guy that you think he is.
they also lost Jair Brown, who was a
And yeah.
very good safety as well.
Mhm.
And I don't want to hate on the other two, and I like Dixon, but Daquan Hardy and Dixon are not going to do what Jair and what Porter could do.
Right.
Like, not to get too much into Penn State here, but I do think the drop in secondary talent really did hurt.
Yeah. If he falls significantly in the draft, I think you can get a great value out of him if he ends up going to the 4th or the 5th.
I would be
if he's
ecstatic.
he's a young player who's had one really, really good year in 2022. And
I mean, he was ranked the number 1 or 2 corner on pretty much everybody's board at the beginning of the season this year. And then, we saw what happened. It's just a shame he had to drop off. But
his competition level also increased this year because if he was cutting, like he had to play Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, and I want to say something about that too, because you know what? I didn't see a single corner in this class play well against Marvin Harrison Jr. He's the best wide receiver I've ever watched coming into the draft. I'm not going to let that fault him. I do agree that he took a step back, but I've heard so many things lately about, oh, well, when he played against Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, I'm telling you this, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be bullying corners in the NFL. I know he's the best player in this draft. No question, in my opinion. He's a very rare talent, and I don't think that's a fair evaluation.
Oh yeah, I
That
agree.
drives me nuts.
Like no one like it's hard. It's you can't expect NFL corners to cover every single NFL corner to cover the best receiver in the league. Like especially if college football, especially with how polished he was too. But like his football IQ definitely pops on screens. Like it's like one of those things like, okay, how can you evaluate football IQ? When some
It is
cornerbacks will
hard most of the
show,
time.
yeah, some cornerbacks will show flashes of what how they think. And there's a couple of really great football IQ guys in this class. And I think he's a great one that is probably the lowest. And to be honest, like my grade is I have him as 21st ranked corner.
And to an extent, I understand that.
But that's really bottomed out by what I've seen in his film grade. He has all the he has all the tools and he has that one flash year. And sometimes that's one flash year is all you really need
Well, and
as
okay,
a
to be fair though, 3 years ago he was a free safety. So that's where he didn't play corner then. He played safety. And I think he did some slot. I can't remember 100%. I'd have to go back and look at the stats, but he definitely was playing safety.
right.
That's why when people are like, "Oh, he could actually be a safety," it's like, well, no shit, he actually played that.
Yeah. And even if he doesn't develop into that outside corner, I think he'd be a great safety if he does want to if they do decide to use him in that way, whoever drafts him.
I honestly think I want to see him in the slot.
I think you just want him on the field.
Yeah.
Let his IQ come out to play, and he has all the athleticism that you'd want out of a corner. He's not the most athletic guy, but he has.
No. I think
But
his athleticism is what holds him back a little bit.
Well, I think he has tons of at least the burst and the explosiveness and short area quickness to do it, not to keep up. I think his long speed, yeah, sure, but if you're going to be putting him in that position, then yeah, you're going to be in for a long day. But why would you do that? You let him play in zone and play that short area quickness game where he's so good.
And kind of to end this point, like it really annoyed me, like seeing a lot of things that people say with him versus Marvin Harrison, but yet Trevion Henderson, who might be one of the top running backs in next year's draft class. I was surprised he didn't come out this year. Fantastic running back out of Ohio State. He put him in his place. And for a corner to do that is impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I don't know how many other corners in this class went up against Henderson, but I don't know how many on this board. I think Sanistrel could probably take him. In fact, actually, I think I saw him do it. But there's quite a few on this list that I do not think would do well against Henderson.
Right.
And I know that's not the corner's main job, but it is very impressive.
Yeah. What I want to do is I want to go back and watch more of his 2022 tape to kind of see where his peaks are at and see how easy it would be to dive that and see if I can find that difference between this year and last year. Maybe I could find an answer. I did look a little bit at it, some of his 22 tape,
but we also had 39 corners.
Enough, yeah. Like
we had 39 corners to watch, and
so
let me tell you that the last 10 were hard to watch.
Yeah, they were. But yeah, I mean, if Kalen King's 2022 tape shows out more, he's probably going to fly up my board way more than 21. Like it might be disrespectful to even have him as the 21st guy over some of the guys I have above him.
But he did do really bad in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Bad. In man coverage.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I hate talking about it, but I'm going to, it was bad. It was. He got eaten alive at the Senior Bowl in the one-on-ones.
Hopefully he didn't lose his confidence.
But he is a competitive guy. I'll tell you that. All right. It's time for your number 9.
Ooh, boy. I love this guy. Max Melton.
Yeah. He's fun. I was a big fan of his brother.
I mean, I was.
Huge fan of his brother.
I don't know why we got rid of him.
Damn
it, Bo.
I don't know how didn't he go undrafted?
Yeah, No. He was a 7th round pick.
Still, man, I thought of him as like a 5th or 4th round guy. I loved Bo. When he played against Penn State, he annoyed me. I was like, this guy's pissing me off.
But this is about Max. God damn it.
I know.
I
But
think
he's
Max
the
is
same thing for me. He did the same things.
Yeah.
Annoyed me, and I was like, oh, God, he's got a brother? Oh,
and damn, is he good.
he is good.
His athleticism oozed off the screen for me.
He's got some burst, man.
He
He's got some
does.
burst.
And he's got speed. I got to double check his size, his dimensions.
And
but
his motor's one of the best in this class, in my opinion.
he does. He never takes a play off.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
6 foot 190. So he's about stereotypical smaller corner. Not smaller, but there's smaller. He's average. He's about an average size corner. But he's very athletic, very springy. He reacts like lightning when he sees a play come up
absolutely.
in front of him. Very great instincts. When he sees a play start to develop, he'll come off routes and as he's watching the quarterback and like make a play.
See, I thought that was one place I thought where maybe he could develop a little more, and it showed off against better talent.
Well, that's the thing. Like I saw him when he would do that, he would get beat sometimes because they know that's what he's going to do.
Yeah,
like
he was predictable.
Yeah, exactly.
But man, the athleticism, yeah, he is off the charts. He's very good.
It's like
I like him a lot.
I think he's just really good at reading body language. Like when I'm watching his tape, if he's like in man coverage going down the field,
he throws his body around too.
When he's going in man coverage down the field, I feel like he's watching how the receiver is moving and waiting for them to reveal when the ball's coming. If he knows when the ball is going to be coming based on how the receiver is reacting. Like he sees how their hands are. He also does that going like downfield too. He can kind of tell when they're starting to twitch up a little bit and doing a comeback or something, and he'll pretty much beat them the ball because he's so quick. He's very snappy, and he mirrors very well what receivers are doing. So
yeah, I like him a lot.
And even when he does get beat, like you said, like we were saying, when he does fall for some shit, he does have good recovery speed to make up for those mistakes not against fast dudes, but he does have some recovery speed that can make up for it.
So he didn't make my top 10, and I hate to say that because I do really like him a lot, but I did notice against better talent, he did pretty poor. He did well against Penn State last year. I felt like when he wasn't going against Keandre Lambert-Smith, but when it was Smith, he didn't do so hot. And also, he had 5 penalties last year, which was one of the highest of the guys I watched. And there was quite a few plays that I watched that he broke up. And I was like, that's going to be a penalty in the NFL. Like, they're totally going to throw a penalty on that. And I was like, oh, they didn't throw it. That's interesting. Now, once again, I know this isn't the top thing with corners. Also, but I saw a lot of wide receivers be able to just push him downfield on run plays. Yeah. He could not get off blocks. And it's one thing when it's a lineman, but when it's a wide receiver, I expect you to get off that block.
It also sucks to try to watch him tackle too.
He does hit hard though. He does throw his body around.
If he can hit, but his technique
it's bad.
So bad. Do you see what his missed tackle rate is?
I think I wrote it down. It was
so noteworthy. I even wrote it down in my notes, and I don't really track
26.7%. That's gotta be.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
That's actually number 1 on the board.
He is terrible, and I hate. Like you said,
he's the worst.
Yeah,
he's the worst on our list.
He can't really tackle very well. He gives me like that CJ Henderson vibes. Like just
he kind of does have that. Yeah,
like,
I kind of
So I'm hoping that's not the case because I really do like watching Max Melton play. And I know CJ Henderson didn't really translate into the NFL very well, dude.
No.
Like he couldn't even get on the field because he's such a liability on the run.
But just like CJ Henderson, the potential is there enough where I'm like, if he was picked by the Steelers, I wouldn't question it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Yeah, there's just some red flags to his game. He's very hyperactive. Like
so,
how I wrote down his style of play is like a hyperactive puppy. You know, like he's still learning the
Don't
game.
call him the
He
hyperactive puppy. That's just mean.
No,
The
no.
dude would kill us. in
He's
a
so
tackle.
he's so springy. Sometimes they're hard to catch, and they chase you
Don't
down
be that
so
way.
easily. But like they don't know what to do with their feet sometimes because they're so like hyper. Like especially they don't know what's going on. Like and sometimes he'll get into those zones where his technique is he's too excited. Like his feet will like so awkward.
With that in mind, I see him as like a 4th-round pick.
Really?
Yeah.
I had him as a 3rd-round prospect.
I just see him
with
as a
potential
project.
to get up to the 2nd, but I can see that.
I don't see him as a 2nd-round pick.
No, like totally understand. I totally get if his weaknesses scare you. I totally get it.
You totally look at it.
I totally get it. Xavier look at it. Done. Genius.
We're stupid,
but I'm surprised that you had him out of your top 10 though. I thought you really liked him.
Dude, there's a lot of that top 15. I like all of them.
Did he make your top 15 at least?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So he's in that zone.
He was my 13.
Okay. Cool.
I had him ahead of Kyrie Jackson. It's weird. You had Kyrie Jackson at 10, and I had him just in front of him.
That's so funny. And I had Max Melton just in front of him. Okay. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, we both did that.
That's funny.
All right. Well, let's talk about my number 8 because I know he didn't make your list, and it hurts a little bit. That's okay.
I can't wait.
That's all right. And it's Chris Abrams-Drain out of Missouri. I think he's one of the most underrated corners in this class. Dude, I love this guy, and it's so weird because there's also another guy from Missouri on this list that's ahead of him, and I just feel like the weakness of the one is the strong suit of the other.
Yeah, they are very complementary to each other, the two Missouri kids.
They are.
Goddamn Mizzou.
I did think they left Abrams-Drain more on an island than Rakestraw, even though it definitely seems like they trust both of them, the way that their defensive scheme was set up.
I saw a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like, I think it depends on where on the field it was, because I've seen them shade a safety over to Abrams Drain's side when they're between the 20s.
Yeah, well, I can see that because, I mean, Rakestraw's a lot bigger than him. I mean, one of the knocks on Abrams-Drain is he is only 5'11", and he is an outside corner. He's not a slot at all.
Though he does have some significant slot experience, though.
He does, but I don't think he's... to me, he's an outside corner. I don't really see him as a slot, to be honest. And I honestly was not crazy impressed with his man coverage.
No, I wasn't either.
His zone's good.
I agree. Yeah.
But I also, the little bit I saw of him blitzing, the little bit he did at the slot position was awful. Will not be done on the NFL level.
You can tell that he utilizes the boundary when he does cover, when he's playing man, or, well, he kind of forces the receiver to go to the outside a lot.
Yeah.
He's a short, quick area guy who's able to close distances pretty quickly. Man, that sounds confusing. He's able to close distances fast.
He is. He's a quick dude.
But long speed wise, I mean, he's not going to play deep, which is why I think he plays a lot of off man.
Yeah.
Very far back, way too far back for my comfort. And maybe that's what they told him to do because he's so good in zone and he's good at reacting. He gets interceptions out the ass.
Oh, and his pass breakups were really high too. I think what was it, 11?
It was up there.
I think it was 11 pass breakups he had this season.
Yeah,
that's one of my top ones in that category. Also, his tackles against running backs was pretty impressive. I definitely saw quite a few plays that I was pretty impressed with for an outside corner. I mean, obviously, I don't look at him like a linebacker, but I was really impressed for a corner taking on running backs.
Yeah, he has no problem like making open field tackles, and his technique could use some work. I wasn't too impressed with his technique, but he made it work. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, he doesn't go for the ankles like you see a lot of other guys do, but he lowers his head a little bit too much. But when he does feel the impact, he wraps up decently. So, and it translated. Like, he had like a 9% missed tackle rate. So
8.6.
Well, there you go.
And even his the catches on him was, I think it was like, what was it, 47%? Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Anytime
And
you
he
get,
didn't have a ton of penalties either, and they threw the ball his way.
yeah. I just love watching his tape in the red zone though.
Oh, he's
Like it
fun.
is one of my favorite tape to watch.
That's why it shocked me he didn't make your top 10.
I know. It's the other stuff because you have to play all 100 yards of the field, you know, and it's kind of like, well, I guess you can say 140, but
did you watch him against
Malik Neighbors
and Leggett?
Yeah,
he was one of the better ones.
Like I said, those, but when he flashed those, it was usually in the red zone.
Yes. Yep.
Where he,
absolutely,
even if he messes up or like gets out of position, his quickness just gets him back, and he's physical enough to fight for the ball. He loves fighting to the ball, and he doesn't get a lot of penalties doing that.
And he's not like grabby about it.
Exactly.
Like he keeps his hands. He's smart with his hands.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah.
So like, if you're gonna like, especially like, he would be amazing in like a bend don't break defense because he's gonna get interceptions. He's gonna tighten up in the red zone. As far like, and if you can cover his long speed issues, because I don't think he really has very great long speed, then I think he'll make a great piece for any defense. I actually had him. It's funny, wherever you had Max Melton, that's where I had.
That's funny.
That's where I had Abrams.
I just think Chris Abrams' drain is more put together than Melton, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think you could put him as your third wide receiver, your third cornerback on the field immediately. I think he definitely has things to work on, no question.
I think Melton is more burstier and shorter. It has
his athleticism,
his length
is
great too. Like
oh yeah. Well, he's bigger. Yeah. But yeah, I think the floor is a lot higher on Chris Abrams today than Max Melton.
Yeah.
I mean, they both got good grades from me.
Yeah, me too.
I think I gave Melton basically an 80.
You gave Max Melton an 80?
I gave him an 80.
And Abrams' drain was?
An 88.
God damn,
I like him a lot.
No wonder.
I like him a lot.
You're number 8. Jesus.
Actually, my top 8. Yeah. My Jesus 8th Christ. One is an 88.
I have as an 80.5 prospect, Abrams' drain. Fine. And Max Melton I has an 84. So they're like 3.5 points off.
And I understand the athleticism from Melton, but I just think Abrams has abilities that are pretty rare.
Yeah. I just don't, if he is going to be strictly an outside corner, I'm just really curious on how his size will translate. That was the thing that knocked him for me, was really not really much of his technique. And I think his floor and technique is better than Melton's, though Melton is so smooth of an athlete that he can keep up even with his inconsistencies in technique. His size was just such a factor for me that's
fine.
Can he be an out? It's harder to find a guy his size on the outside in the NFL than it is.
Is it
anywhere else? There's no
5'11".
Is he 5'11"? I thought he was 5'10", which 5'10" is very hard to find. Like there's only like maybe 2 starting that's that size.
It's not gonna come up.
Oh, he's 5'11". Okay.
Yeah, he's 180 basically.
Oh God, look at that weight though.
180?
178.
Yeah, 180.
It was like Emmanuel Forbes was that almost that size. You give him shit.
He was a first round pick.
He was a second round pick on your board. You still give him shit.
He was a second round pick on my board, a late second.
Whatever.
And I see Abrams as a third.
Fair enough.
So, okay,
whatever.
Before you get all snooty with me.
Hey, Abrams' drain
so
is still
sassy.
A second or third in my book too. So,
all right, let's talk about your number 8.
My number 8 is already Mike Sanistrell, so we're gonna move on from him. Just give me your 8, unless that was your 8. Woo! Let's go to 7 then. Surprise, boys.
It is actually
girls.
A surprise, and people are gonna hate me for this. I know it.
No, I'm gonna do my 6, and they're gonna hate me for it too, unless it's the same. Is it Clemson kid?
No,
mine's Clemson kid. It's
his athletic ability. I had to move him up the board a little bit.
What, a past 6?
Yes, he's in my top 5. But
Nate Wiggins is my number 6.
Personally, I'm not 1,000% crazy about him.
I'm not either.
but I feel like he could be really good in the right system.
In the right system is key.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody
Agreed.
to look at his speed and think he's automatically going to be a success.
He also has an injury history.
Yes. People had a lot of hype for Eric Stokes in the first round a couple years ago.
Oh, I
And
like Eric Stokes.
He played well.
He's
for the most part. As a rookie, he played well.
Yeah, I
And
don't think he's terrible.
He hasn't really shown out though. Nate Wiggins get a lot of hype for where he's going. Now he's taller than Stokes is, and he's fast as shit. Obviously,
he is fast. And man, when he's going forward after a pass, he does very well. Who did you say that about? Was it Sanistrell or was it
who? Oh yeah, Sanistrell had that.
And yeah, so it's funny because
so did Jackson.
They're both slots to me, but the thing.
Wait, Wiggins is a slot to you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I would like to see him more in the slot. I mean, I thought that's where he played the best.
The reason I don't like him in the slot is
because he can't hit.
No, his burst is actually terrible. His build-up speed is terrible.
Yeah, it is.
And it showed out too in his combine scores. His 10-yard split was like in the 30th percentile, which is why I only won him on the outside playing zone, like some outside zone covering like the deep, just covering deep.
He was good in zone.
Or going downfield. Like I only want him doing one of those two things. I don't want him playing man in the slot specifically. If you want to put him in the slot, man, I don't know how I just don't see him being in the slot.
That's fair.
Just because I would want my guy in the slot to be quick, especially if you're getting put on a quicker guys. And he's got the length. He can if it's a quick pass, he has the length and he can get right. He has no problem putting his arm in space. But I think if you have him as an outside zone, or if you're going to put him in press man and have him follow someone down in deep passes, and then he passes it off to like a safety if they decide to make a quick cut towards the middle, he has to be a very good communicated defense that way. But his floor to make game-changing plays, though, or his ceiling is insane. Like he is going to get, if he gets an interception, the chances of him housing it is extremely high.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because 9 times out of 10, he's going downhill to get that ball. And if he's already almost at full speed by the time he gets that ball, no one's catching him. Absolutely no one. Even when he is doing deep balls, like his hands are always at the receiver where the receiver's hands are at. And he's not incredibly grabby, but
he did not get as many penalties as he should have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he only got 1 this year, and I was like, he's another player where I'm like, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. That's a penalty.
Yeah. I mean, he's lightweight, so he gets outmatched a lot and he has to grab sometimes, especially if someone's pushing him downfield, down the sideline. But one thing I don't like is if they do throw like a shifty receiver outside lined up on him. Again, this might be Clemson telling him to do this because they know his strengths and weaknesses, but he's playing off, very far off, kind of like how I saw Chris Abrams drain. And I mean, the good thing is he's so fast. If he sees it coming, he'll get there. But if the receiver's shifty and doesn't reveal his hand on what he's going to do and causes him to hesitate, he's not going to make it. And because he plays so far off.
Did you say you have him ranked as your 7th guy?
6th. Or he is my 7th. Is he?
That's actually where he was supposed to be 10, on my board.
10,
I actually
9, 8.
Sorry, I'm a piece of shit. I did not actually edit his score, and I changed everybody else's, and I noticed I had him in front of 3 guys, and I'm like, I know I didn't like you better than these 3.
Also fucked up.
So he was 7th on my board.
I didn't give you my 8th. He was my 6th.
I thought you didn't give me your 8th.
Yeah,
that's why I started numbering mine.
Yeah, I
think I did that last time. Look, we're working through this, people. Okay, we suck, but we're getting better.
Hey guys, Nate Wiggins, number 6 on my board, number 7
on my board.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So I apologize for that. Yeah, because when I saw he was number 4, I was like, I didn't like you that much. And then I started looking at the names in front of him, like, Yeah, there's no way. There's no way this is right. And then
I
I
was
looked,
surprised you had him higher than me for a
and
second.
then I started looking through my notes, and I'm like,
Whoopsies.
oh yeah, I didn't adjust
My
for you.
bad. But yeah,
That's embarrassing. Anyways,
you got any other notes on him? Because I raved about him for a while here, so I wanted to know if you have
I
any other thoughts.
feel like I knocked him a little bit because Clemson's defense was very good. And I feel like he was able to make a lot of plays because other players around him were doing very well. I mean, that D line for Clemson is fantastic. They got a good linebacker group. And because of it, they were able to scheme him up in ways where he could make blitzes or he could, jump on a football and doesn't have to worry about the guy running 60 yards downfield because there's somebody behind him. I'm not too crazy about him, but his athleticism is very good, all in all. But his injury history and his tackle stats, he barely hit anybody. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if you have it there. I thought he had somewhere around only 10 tackles for the entire season. Can you pull it up? I just want to make sure I'm right on that.
10 tackles.
I know I wrote that his tackle stats were extremely low. I mean, his size is fantastic. What does he got for the year?
23 tackles.
That's still low.
Yeah.
Like, I'm used to seeing at least 40.
Funny thing is, like last year, he had even more snaps played, and he only had 27 tackles.
Yeah, I just remember.
Crazy.
I remember looking at his tackle rate, and it was not good.
Yeah, he has gotten better each year at tackling, though.
Yeah, but also there's been other corners from there over the last few years. I mean, we had Booth, we had other ones, and I don't know.
I just don't see the first round hype people have given him.
No, I don't see him as a first round pick.
I don't think a 4.2, 840 will justify
I think
his 10-yard split knocks him back out of it. But
somebody's going to want to draft him in the first round just because of his 40.
I know, but it's such a deep class. I don't know.
Somebody probably is, honestly. One of the bad teams is going to draft him. Because somebody's going to see that 40-yard dash. We see it every year. Just like not to get off on a side note, but the Worthy from Texas, I can almost guarantee he's going to the first round just because of his 40-yard dash.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody forgets about John Ross, who was also a first-round pick.
Speed kills in the NFL, and people are always going to take chances on it.
It's like the crack for NFL GMs. It really is. It's just like they can't stop going back to it.
They got a need
for speed.
For speed.
Oh my God. Yeah, they really do. All right, so let's talk about.
Wait, yeah. So I did my 10, 9. We already talked about my 6, or with Nate Wiggins, and my 7. Who do we miss with you? Because I'm missing my 8.
So my number 7 was Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Oh, God damn it.
And that's where I think people are going to be upset at me because so many people see him as a top talent in this class. And look, his football IQ is very impressive. The fact that he started as a true freshman is extremely impressive. But I just feel like there's always a safety over him, where a guy we're going to talk about later on this list, they leave out on an island. And I have concerns based on other corners we've seen like him from Alabama who could do the same things he can do, not be able to transfer to the NFL. There was plenty of interceptions this guy should have had, and he did not have them. It's like, I don't expect you to be a wide receiver, but the ball's in your damn hand, man. You got to catch that ball.
Yeah.
If it's in your hand, you got to catch it. There's no question. You're going into the NFL, and if you're not doing it in college, you ain't doing it in the NFL.
Look, he's what the people in the know call a cover corner, where
that's a term.
He's going to cover very well, and he does consistently cover well.
I agree.
With the his playmaking in the interceptions and ball skills department is clearly lacking, but Sauce Gardner has a similar issue. He doesn't make a lot of interceptions because he's so good at coverage. And that's what I want my corner. His first job is to make sure he's not getting beat and he's covering. So that's why I love him, because he has all the traits of what a great NFL corner is.
He
He got height,
does.
weight, arm length is
Yes.
fantastic. He's got great acceleration.
His football IQ is good.
He's got great football IQ.
Yes. But his stats don't match it. He had 4 pass breakups the entire season and 1 interception. That's it.
What was his pass percentage that got put on him?
I will tell you in a second. It was a 48.7.
Okay, so exactly where you kind of expect most.
I mean, it's not terrible. It's not great. He did have, and I think this isn't a fair thing to rate him on. He had an 8.1% missed tackle rate, but he sure doesn't put himself out there to tackle people.
No, he does take some plays off sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen him totally get off the gas on run plays.
Yeah. Like if there's a pile,
was another issue I had with him.
If someone's fighting going into the pile, he's not jumping in on that. He does not like to mix in in the scrum. He is good though at like making some open field tackles though. He has the length, his technique isn't bad. And
I think
that's when he'll do it.
I think his coverage is elite. I really do. Like, it's just everything else I didn't like. I did find him to be pretty handsy at times as well.
Sometimes. He is very physical. His long arms pretty much keep him locked into the receiver a lot of
Agreed,
time.
yeah.
Now sometimes the receiver pulls away and there's that grabbiness comes out, and you can get away with grabbiness within like the first 5 to 10 yards sometimes, as long as you don't show that jersey tug. And he'll learn that. He'll learn the timing for that. But I don't know. I think he's incredibly disciplined. Like his one goal, you could tell, is not get beat.
Yes.
And communicate well with the teammates. And like he wants to beat you in coverage. He does not want to give any receiver the satisfaction of winning.
No.
So, but that's like that. But he doesn't really want to hit.
And he doesn't go out of his way to save plays. Where on the other Alabama corner, he goes out of his way.
Yeah. I thought Jaquincy's cover. That's his name.
How dare you not call him Kool-Aid?
That's what his grandmother called him. Do I even deserve to call him that? I'm not his family.
You know, when I read that his nickname was Kool-Aid, I was like, there's no way. I'm like, there's no way. No way that this guy's name is this. I'm reading this wrong.
I honestly love his name, his actual name, Jaquincy McKinstry.
Yeah, I like that name too.
It actually like rolls off the tongue very well.
Jaquincy McKinstry.
I think it's elite name.
Elite name. We should give him extra points for that.
Kool-Aid is pretty dope too.
So where did you rank him?
He was my fourth ranked guy.
That's fine.
Just he's lifted up by his insane coverage skills, and that's what I want. That is my main priority. If you cover extremely well, you're gonna fly up. And he has the size I want in an NFL corner.
It's funny
and he's smart too. It's not like he does dumb shit all the time. So it's like he covers all the bases. I'm just being nitpicky in his run defense sometimes, and even then, he's not even terrible at that. He just isn't physical in that regard.
I actually had him tied with Wiggins.
Yeah, you had him tied with Wiggins, huh?
Yeah, so he actually probably would have been my 6th.
He would have been your 6th, huh?
Would have been my 6th.
Only 2 less than me.
All right, well, who's your next one on the list?
Well, since I've skipped over my 8 by accident, Rake Straw. He's my the other Mizzou kid.
That is my number 5.
You're number 5, okay.
Yeah. Dude, his motor is probably one of my favorite in this class.
I mean, as a car guy, you do love a good motor.
Oh, yes. Definitely love a good motor. His burst was pretty impressive. I mean, his athleticism all around, I thought was pretty good. His football IQ was really impressive. Like the way he reads the quarterback. I mean, it was just absolutely fantastic. Oh, so you really liked him.
I did really like him.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot too. I think he's a first round pick. Because at first, when I saw him in some mock drafts, I was just like, meh. But then, actually watching his tape, I was like, wow, okay, yeah. I see what they're talking about now.
Yeah, I really love his play style. Like the competitiveness he shows and his toughness.
Yeah,
it's infectious. Like I feel more competitive. Like I want to just like fuck some shit up. Like you can tell he just wants to absolutely dominate receivers and routes and
Oh
hitting
yeah,
guys hard. He wants them to feel his presence on the field. He's got great instincts,
good size.
great size, and his technique is really good. Like he is the yin to Chris Abrams yang on that defense.
Why are we talking about his Yang?
I didn't say his wait, his wang. Like he's not making those big splashy interception game changing plays, but his coverage skills and technique is so good.
Yeah, I
And
really
he's
liked him.
feisty every fucking step of the way. You're not taking an inch without
Oh
fighting
no,
for
no,
it.
he's the last one to throw the punch. I mean, he doesn't stop throwing till the end. I mean, he really doesn't. I really enjoyed him. I think his tackle was really good. I think he was one of the few guys I actually got to watch some legit man coverage on and really enjoyed it. I mean, like I think there's a lot to like there. There was an issue with him, and it was playtime in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
He was one of my lowest ranked guys as far as playtime.
He tore his ACL in 2021.
Yep.
And then he had a series of groin injuries in 2023. And then he also missed the final game and the Senior Bowl he was invited to due to a core muscle injury.
Yeah.
So
Didn't he pull out last minute? Yeah.
yes, he did. So he wanted to make sure that surgery went through before and see how quickly he can recover for training camp. He would have been probably a late first round grade for me without those injury deductions and playing time issues.
His recorded catches on him was the highest of our top 10.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
64%.
So he's also one of those guys that doesn't have a lot of recovery speed.
No.
He's not a very good vertical guy. And the only reason I think he is as physical as he is, okay, not the only reason because he loves fucking doing it.
His footwork's
but he needs to be physical to mess up the timing on plays because if he doesn't, some guys might run right past him. He doesn't have the recovery speed to catch up, which, what you noticed with the safeties shading over him sometimes, like you said,
Yeah.
it might be because of that. So
he also only had an 8.3% missed tackle rate, which is pretty impressive.
yeah, I like that.
I really like
being a wiry guy the way he is.
Yeah.
Like, he does have this weird frame for being as physical as he is.
I mean,
but his arms are awesome, by the way. He can lock onto dudes before they even touch him.
And even with as physical as he is, he only had 3 penalties all season. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I still think that's going to be an issue in the NFL, though.
I do agree, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, you can work on that. So that's kind of why there was just because of those couple red flags, I could justify putting him up higher.
He was 8th on your list?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know, but it was literally do the semantics. Like if you took off his injury stuff, he'd actually would be my number 4, or no, he'd be my number 5,
which is where I have him.
Yeah, if you took him off my injury points off of him, he would be up there.
I got to see how you calculate that. I'm curious. We'll definitely look at that later.
Yeah, I'll discuss it with you.
All right. So how many more do you have on this list? I have 4.
So I didn't do 5. I have 4 left as well because you pulled out Kool-Aid as your 6 or 6/7.
Okay, so you want to talk about your next guy?
So you did your 5.
Because your next guy, I think, is the same as mine.
As your 4?
Yes.
TJ Tampa.
That is my next.
I love TJ.
He was my number 4 on my list. Yep.
So he was one of those guys for me that when I first watched him, I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah, if you just watch his highlights, you're not going to like this guy.
Yeah.
I do agree with you.
It's very underwhelming. You're like, well, why does everyone like this guy? What makes people like him?
He's not flashy.
But the more you watch him,
he does hesitate quite a bit.
Yes. But I see but he's consistent as shit.
Yeah.
And his physicality is awesome. His long arms is probably one of the best in the class.
I think it is.
He's able to get a hold of you instantly on the line if he's ever playing press.
So I might be crazy with this, but I'm curious what you think. Do you know who he kind of reminds me of? Like who he looks like? Richard Sherman.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like I looked at him and I'm like, I kind of see it. Like the size, his stance, the way, there was a lot of things. I looked at him and I'm like, kind of remind me of him.
I mean, he does have his like height and he does play off very well, and he doesn't take shit. So,
But his football IQ, like the way he reads quarterbacks, reminded me a lot of him.
yeah, no, he
The
was really good
view,
at
like
that.
he is watching the quarterback at all times. He would be a great security guard. Like he just like, man, it's almost like he doesn't even need to look at the wide receiver in front of him,
No,
which was so weird to me.
Yeah.
It was just like he's almost ignoring him. He's like, nah, if the wide receiver's gonna go downfield, like I'm gonna know.
it was weird how he doesn't even lose stride as he's running down the sideline, but his
Yeah,
head is still turned towards the QB. It was very impressive. He also is one of those guys that has all the athletic traits you want.
oh yeah, absolutely.
He's fast. He does actually have the long speed. I actually think he has better long speed than Kool-Aid does.
I agree.
I just think Kool-Aid is so much more polished.
I mean, he's run down people.
He has.
What
I
was
love
it?
watching.
There was a play that he ran 40 yards downfield to catch somebody down, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
it was a smaller guy too. He was chasing who should be faster.
who
which
was,
I was like, wow.
Like this guy wasn't slow, and he still got him. Like he puts the effort in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you, I loved his tackling. I thought he was good on run defense. I think his versatility is good enough that he could play slot if he wanted to. I don't want him in the slot. I want him as an outside corner.
I think in run defense he has that mentality of I'm going to punish you for coming my direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think it does lead to undisciplined tackling though, because I thought
agreed.
He does have like 17% missed tackles overall, and his technique wasn't that good. He'll lower his head again because he wants to stick it to him.
He also had a 51% recorded catch rate,
which I mean
isn't great, isn't terrible. He's another guy who had 3 penalties this year.
Yeah, he gets grabby as well.
He does get grabby at times, but man, those arms, man, we cannot emphasize enough. Like he has some pretty damn long arms.
Yeah, he does. Those windows are so much more tighter down the field with him playing. What do they call it when you're following a guy downfield? It's like a trail technique.
Oh yeah,
trail technique. He his long arms and his like jumping ability like makes the trail technique especially deadly because.
And then with the speed.
Yeah, you're gonna have to throw it a lot higher. Like kind of have to do like a moonball style play to get it around him. You're not gonna be able to laser it past him, especially if he's watching you throw it as he's running downfield. But I loved watching him play though. He's
definitely a first round pick for me.
Yeah, he went from like my number 10 to like 5 real quick the more I watched him.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember which game I circled, and I was like, "That's the game."
Holy
Texas!
Shit,
Texas was the game I circled in there. Where I was like, "Ooh, that was the game." Yeah, definitely.
100 snaps against Kansas State though. Holy shit!
He's a good player, man.
He's a good player.
And like I said, his versatility was something that really showed out for me. Definitely one of the best sized players in this class. I really like him.
So he was your 4. We got through my 5.
I hope he doesn't go to the Chiefs. Yeah.
So we're both doing our last 3, right?
Yes. It's funny because we actually, for the first time ever, agreed on our final 3.
Did we though? Just kidding.
We did. We absolutely did.
I don't think that ever happened.
No, and it probably won't happen for the rest of this.
Probably not. Well, we'll see. Like in their actual spots, but let's go. Let's just say who our 3 is.
You actually put your glasses on when you watch these 3.
I actually had to on Cooper DeJean.
Oh well, yeah. He's so far in the backfield.
Who's our number 3? Because
yeah.
Now I gave him a 10 out of 10 in my favoritism score because watching his highlights and his playmaking ability. God, it is.
It's easy to love him.
Now,
easy.
Please don't call. You're gonna call me crazy, but he's like. Some of his plays reminded me of how Luke Kuechly played linebacker sometimes.
I don't disagree with you actually.
Just like the brain side of things, like his mentality and like understanding how the play is developing. And I'm like, there was some plays like this. I can't think like this.
There was some plays where I'm like, is that Jack Campbell from last year? Like just like Dude, he hits hard, man. He's the best hitter in this class. No questions for me.
Yeah, he's
But
an absolute
also,
beast in run defense.
his ball skills were very good.
Now,
I was really impressed.
he is
In,
everything
in zone, I mean, oh my god,
Yeah.
very good. Man, I didn't see a lot of.
No, he
which
did not
was
play a lot of man.
I only gave him a 7.5 out of 10 on man, but it was only because I didn't see much. So it was so hard to grade him on it. But in zone, he's very good.
Yeah, he is so heady.
My kind of like Kyle Hamilton. I'm like, okay, where do we put you? Where do you want to go? Like he could play anywhere. He could play in the slot. He could play outside corner. He could be a safety. Like, I don't care. Wherever you want to play, you can play. And on top of it, he's a special teams ace.
Oh yeah.
Ace, man. Like I know everybody wants to talk about his punt returns. Forget the punt returns. Forget him returning a punt. How about punt like on
gunner style position?
Yeah, I loved it.
Laying someone out or even just making a short tackle in the open field.
Yeah,
this dude, like you said,
he's the last guy you want to see coming down the field at you.
He is the most versatile guy in this class.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Anywhere on the field, he'd be successful. I do think he is more of an outside corner than anything. Kind of in the same vein as Wiggins, but I think he is obviously more versatile than Wiggins. But I like him in
my
zone.
Jury's still up.
Like, if he's in safety, he knows how to utilize space and read
QBs.
Does,
yeah.
If you're putting him an outside corner, he plays both the receiver and QB in zone reads, always watching around. Give me 1 sec.
Sorry.
And in slot, like, he's able to play big slot receivers. He's physical enough to at least stop them or slow them down. And he's also, if you're putting him in slot, he's close to the line of scrimmage where the run game is, where he's also very good at. And if you play him as a bandit guy where he can just play anywhere, he doesn't have like a actual role. Like, you're not putting him on anybody. You're just telling him to read the play, like Troy Polamalu kind of style of like,
or like Simmons. Like,
maybe
who are we
Simmons,
talking?
Kind of like Isaiah, how Simmons was with the Giants last year.
That's kind of what I was thinking with him.
I just said Polamalu because he did some free.
You're just kissing my ass.
Well, I'm just thinking of his like
just playmaking ability.
Yeah, they gave him the freedom to try different things. Like, they didn't just tell him to do something. He gave him the freedom, and I think you can give him the freedom in some plays, in certain packages. But
I still find it wild that when I was first thinking about this, like I was like, man, I really like him as an outside corner. I'm like, but man, if he was a safety, I'm like thinking to myself, what do I like him more as, the free or the box? I couldn't make up my mind. I'm like, you hit like a linebacker, but you block like a free. I mean, you can cover like a free.
Yeah.
He's got the speed. He's got the tackling ability. Like, I don't...
ball skills.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I like him a lot. And if he was our first round pick, I'd go crazy. I'd go nuts for him. But I just don't know where to put him, to be honest. If
you put him as your number one guy, I would not bat an eye.
No, I wouldn't either.
He started off as my one. I just out of favoritism for the two other guys I had. Like,
I think as a corner, as an outside corner, he's still my third favorite.
Yeah, okay, I can get behind that. As a playmaker on the defense, I think he's my number one guy.
He might,
but
I mean, just to give a insight, he's going to be in my safety group as well.
We're not talking about him again. I'm just going to say that right now.
I'm talking about him again.
God damn it.
I will be talking about him again. I'm sorry. Because to me, he plays both. I feel it's dirty to not put him in the safety list. Kind of like how Brian Branch was last year.
Yeah. Well, then we'll just talk about one extra guy on my end, because he's not going on my safety. I do think he plays outside corner mostly, and he'll shade over to other positions depending on what the offensive lineup and scheme is, and you want to show some different looks. So, but he's just an awesome person to watch. I mean, the only thing I would say is, like, I think the reason he doesn't play in man, he does have some stiffness in his quick direction. Like, he doesn't move laterally quickly. Like any kind of sudden change of direction, I don't really see him being great at. It's not like he's bad. He's just not great at. And
They
the man rep and
also
the reps in man, like the amount of experience he has. Maybe
yeah, I
that's the other
agree, yeah.
maybe there's more hesitation on that too. That's why we see it because
Well,
he's
and
not used to it. But
the other two guys ahead of him, I could see his man coverage skills, and that's one of the main reasons I put him higher.
oh, okay, yeah.
So,
Well, then do you want to reveal the second guy we have?
yeah, I didn't want to give this guy number 2 just because of how chalky it was by many people out there, but man, after watching his one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, it was hard to not give Quinion Mitchell number 2. I mean, because in his tape, we didn't see him really do a lot of man coverage, but his zone looked amazing. And then we go to the Senior Bowl, all of a sudden we see him bullying people on man coverage. And man, that's why to me the Senior Bowl is a key thing to watch.
Yeah, especially in those one-on-ones where it's like it's so designed to give all the advantage to the wide receivers, and he still shuts down. Like I don't remember many reps where he got beat, and even the ones he did, he recovered quickly.
Well, that's the other thing. His recovery speed is just ridiculous.
Yeah, he was third in pass deflections in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
He's always
14,
run
I
the
think.
ball. Yep.
I think it was 14 pass deflections because when I saw the number, I'm like, wow, it's the highest in the league.
Yep. Great. I mean, he's another one of those high football IQ players. Like all three of these guys at the top are all high football IQ guys, I believe.
And even
and all three have different play styles, which I like. Like
you and I talked about this off the podcast, but he looked good against Ohio State.
I agree.
I think he might be the best corner I watched against Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
If you're going to give it to somebody, it was him.
Yeah. I mean, it was if you watch the game highlights, you'll see Marvin Harrison Jr. like get catches on him. But that's only because Quinion Mitchell didn't give him an inch and he still took a mile. Like that's just how good Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh,
was
yeah,
that game.
absolutely.
And you can't beat perfect ball placement. Like whoever was throwing him the ball that year on those throws, they put it in the spot where Quinion was not going to get it, and Quinion played it perfectly.
And the way he watches the quarterback is just he's only the second best just because I mean the guy ahead of him is just the best in the class as far as football IQ as far as I'm concerned, but he's definitely my number 2 as far as that. But the way he mirrors wide receivers, man.
Oh yeah.
Is probably the best.
It's seamless a lot of the time.
Yeah. And it's against good talent.
My favorite part too is like, so you know how like TJ Tampa, when he gets interceptions, it's because he's watching the QB the whole time he's running down the field. Quinion doesn't do that, but his reaction time is so good.
Oh my God. The way he gets on it.
He can like
just
if the ball is like a foot away from his face when he turns his head around, flying at him and how fast? Probably like 60 miles an hour. I don't know how fast the ball throws. But,
yeah.
And his reaction time's so good, he still gets the ball. Like that's how quick his reaction time is, and I think that translates to his mirroring ability, his football IQ, and his reactions in zones, and the route recognition he has when he sees plays develop. The only thing I'll say, like that man likes to make the big play, and has been known to be over aggressive, and teams like to, especially in his previous years, like to pick on him because he likes falling for those double moves, But his recovery speed is so good, and he understands the tricks now that he's gotten a little bit more experience under his belt. They're not as impactful as they used to be.
No.
But he does fall for him still. And in the NFL, maybe that
it's
margin for error is going to be, still going to be there.
I just think the lack of talent that he played against is going to hurt him a little bit at first.
Yeah.
But to me, he's a surefire first round pick.
Yeah, he has all the athleticism to, at least in college, he could afford to make mistakes
because of his burst.
Right. So if he develops properly, I mean, he's going to be an amazing wide corner for years to come, I think, personally.
Oh, yeah. But, our number 1, I mean, to me is a very special player. And
you even have him as a blue chip guy, don't you?
I do. Yeah, he's a blue chip to me. I was a big fan of Christian Gonzalez last year, but, this guy at number 1 is only a redshirt sophomore. And, Terry Arnold is just absolutely amazing.
He is.
Man, there's a lot to like about this guy. I think he should be the first defensive player off the board. I would be shocked that he's not, just because the level of talent.
I want to get to edges before I dictate that and the D line, but
I just feel like we would know an edge this good
I mean,
by now.
as a skill position player, I mean, he is everything you want in a corner. Like
the
smart,
footwork,
the fit. He's
the
more physical than the other two
twitchiness.
guys.
Yeah, his tackling is just top tier, man.
I watched him bully the shit out of Neighbors on a couple of plays.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Brian Thomas.
Yeah, and these are two guys that both of us agree
Which
are
is crazy.
top tier wide receivers.
Because he's not a big dude. He's not the biggest guy.
No, he's
not. He's
not.
not the strongest, but he plays above his weight class.
Absolutely.
Like, his hands have to be made of like iron grips or something, because he just rips balls out all the time. Like, no one holds onto the ball if he gets his hand on it.
He had the second most amount of pass breakups, and I feel like the only reason that Quinion Mitchell had more is because of the talent that he played against. I feel like Terrion Arnold would have ran circles around him if it wasn't for that. I mean, what was it? I'm trying to see here. Was it 13? Yeah, 13 pass breakups. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You can put him in any defense and he'll be an instant upgrade.
He had 4 interceptions too, I think. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. No, he's his tape is phenomenal. It's just like, you can put him anywhere. Like, he has a slot experience. He played safety before too.
I didn't even know that.
His first year in Alabama, he's a safety.
No way.
Moved him to corner.
And there was a lot of talent there too. I mean, Battle and I can't think of his name now. I just said it not that long ago.
Yeah, I think they shaded him over towards the outside corner a little bit more each year. I think he was mostly a slot last year. And then this last year, they put him in 2023, they put him in the outside corner.
But he can play slot.
Yeah, he can, and he plays it well. Like, he's fighting you every single. He's just like the Enos Rakestraw. Like, he's going to fight you for every inch.
I mean, you could definitely tell.
He's a master of the bump and run.
He was really frustrated, I think, with the performances of Alabama in games they lost. It was that to me was a little obvious, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned. You want to win. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
And I think he wasn't hurting the team at all.
He's got that top tier corner mentality.
Yeah. And that's what I want to see.
That's absolutely.
I mean, to me, he should not leave the top 10. Even with all the quarterbacks, even with the wide receivers, even with some of these top tier tackles, I just feel like he should not leave the top 10.
It's going to be close for me. It's going to be very close.
Like, I know you liked Witherspoon more, and I loved Gonzalez, but I think just because of the age alone, like, I think Gonzalez was what? Was he a 4-year player?
I have no idea.
He was either 4 or 5. 2 years. I mean, I'm trying to remember. Is he 20? I'm pretty sure Terrion Arnold's like 20 or like really young 21. Like, one of the youngest corners in this draft.
Yeah, he's 21. Yeah, and you know what? That age does show sometimes. I do see.
Yeah. Oh, he played.
Could use some refinement in his skills, because he's so confident in his athleticism and his football, like how he understands the game. Sometimes it like takes him a little bit out of the play. He gets a little over aggressive, and sometimes that bites him in the ass sometimes. But it's not often. It is not often at all.
Yeah,
it's
I definitely saw a little bit of it.
Just a note. Like, just a little bit more discipline, and you're basically like, you can tell he's a diamond. You just need to, polish that diamond up to make it to shine even brighter. Like, he's going to be great.
I wouldn't even be shocked if he goes in the NFL this year and you really do see that polish come out.
Yeah.
Because I thought maybe one more year at Alabama and he'd be ready, but I don't know what Alabama's going to be next year. It's so up in the air.
One other odd note I had on him, because I was looking at his athletic numbers, they're actually not that impressive. They're actually very average.
But
I know.
That's more than often the case with top corners.
Well, I know. I mean, for a lot of the guys at the top here, like going all the way down to even, Saint Estrell, man. I think the first, maybe Ronaldo Grainer Lassiter, like the two that don't really show like high end athleticism, and Tyrion doesn't really show it either on the testing
Well,
numbers.
neither did Kalen King.
But the shit you see on tape is not what it's like. That is
No.
athleticism. Like, you don't beat neighbors the way you do and not be athletic
this
as
is-
well as you do. I don't understand how his numbers were. They're not bad. They're just more average than I expected. Because you watch the tape and you're like, holy shit. Like, I can't wait to see his numbers. I'm like underwhelmed. So he just doesn't give a shit. He already knows his tape's good. I don't know, but that's just all. That's the only note I had. It's not a knock on him. You have guys like Tre'Davious White also didn't have good testing numbers. And
that's what I wanted to put. And he's also bigger than White.
He's my one. You could flip any of those top three from me, to be honest. They're really close.
Yeah, I think all three of them are top or first round picks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked though if we see DeJean go into the second round, just because we saw it with Branch last year and it shocked me. But
yeah,
I mean, maybe the league's gonna turn on that.
DeJean's kind of more of that high, like he has even more playmaking ability than
the other
Branch.
two. Yeah.
Well, that wraps up our top 10. Let's just do like we did last time. Let's give two guys in the back that we haven't talked about that you really wanted to highlight. Just do it like a quick thing why you liked them, why he didn't make your top 10, and I'll give you like a 5 point out of 5 on how I feel about him.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with Jarvis Brownlee out of Louisville. Man, he didn't make my top 10 because to me, he's only a slot. But my God, is he explosive? He hits really hard. I think he needs to work on his tackling quite a bit. But I'm not terribly worried about him. I would love to see him in the slot in black and gold, man. He's a dog, man. That's all I can say about him.
He is a dog.
He's very handsy also in coverage.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. That was the thing. I mean, I gave him a pretty poor coverage score. But in the slot, man, especially on rundowns, if you want to blitz with him, woo.
Yeah. He's a guy of reckless abandon.
Oh, absolutely.
I did like him as well. I think he had a couple slots lower than Kalen King, but I'm going to give you a 4 out of 10 for that. 4.
All right, let's try one for you.
I'm going to go with...
Wait, did you say a 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 10?
4 out of 5, just like...
Okay. I'm like, man, a 4 out of 10, that's pretty bad.
No, 4 out of 5.
Give me a 40%.
I'm going to go, and I have him actually one spot lower than Brownlee for all my grades. It's Kalen Carson.
Yeah, you really liked him.
I don't know what it was.
I think I know why I didn't like him as much.
He's the most grabby out of all the guys I've watched.
And that's... Yeah.
But the dude, he's also a quick reactor, you know.
He's
so freaking sticky.
His body, the way he can like extend his body to break up passes is very impressive.
Yeah, he obviously he's like more of a late round gem for me, who can be like a spot starter in certain schemes where you just want him to be you want a guy who's not going to give up a lot in short area distances, because he's going to get beat long ways down the field. But I just liked his swag, man. That really all it comes down. He's gritty. He's got swag.
He does.
He doesn't want to get beat. So that's all I want to say about him.
The only thing I did want to note as well with him is his tackling technique drove me nuts, because at the beginning I saw him tackling way too high. And then towards the end, he was tackling way too low. I'm like, can you just pick like you're almost there, man? Come on.
I will say his technique does lead to a lot of yardage.
Yeah, it does. He just his angles are just weird.
Yeah, it is. Very awkward.
But he is very physical. I did think he was a little too handsy, and his tackling needs to work out. But otherwise, I loved him. I mean, his body extension, once again, was one of my favorite in the draft. I think the only other guy of his level of body extension to break up passes was TJ Tampa, and I have him ranked number 4.
Right.
So I mean, I think he could be a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just a late round gem for me that I just wanted to highlight. I really liked him.
He was hard to watch though with Malik Mustafa on the same field, dude. Oh my God, that guy's an animal. we will be talking about Mustafa. I guarantee you, he's gonna make my top 10.
How about give me another highlight real quick?
Yeah. I'm going to give you Josh Newton out of TCU.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah, another slot corner. Well, actually, he can kind of play a little of both. Dude, he's a ball hawk. Absolute ball hawk. Man, he's going for the ball every single time. Whether somebody's going to beat him or not, he's going for the ball. That's all he's about. I mean, his agility was really good, and he comes out of nowhere with hits.
Yeah, he does.
In the backfield. I mean, it was just like, whoa. I mean, I saw him bullying tight ends, and he's not a big guy.
Yeah.
I think he's 6 foot, like maybe 6 foot, 5'11", somewhere in that range. The little I saw him in man coverage did not impress me, and even some of the zone wasn't the greatest in the world. But I mean, he's got a lot of experience. He put up some decent stats this year, and like I said, his agility was fantastic.
Yeah. I also had him one spot lower than Kalen King. He was
one spot ahead or low, or
lower, like he's 22.
Okay.
Brownlee was actually two ahead of Kalen. My bad. But
why you got to bring him up like that?
Just so you have a little reference of where I think. I mean, I like Josh Newton. Yeah, he has a lot of talent. I mean, ball hawking guy. I mean, he used to play wide receiver, so he played wide receiver in Monroe before he converted to cornerback.
I didn't even know that about him.
Yep, so that explains that.
Yeah, I like him more as a corner.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's fantastic in man coverage, and I think overall, though, in zone, he could use improvement. But hey,
I do think their defense struggled
yeah,
this year, and I think that is why maybe he's not talked about as much, but I still like him. I mean, a lot. Like 5th round, late 4th, I'd be excited.
Give me a 4 out of 5 on my likability scale. That's what about Kalen Carlson? What's your likeness scale? Likability?
I would be like, I go out of 10, but to me, he's like a 7.5 with the ability of going to an 8.5.
Okay, so 4 out of 5. Got it.
Yeah.
Just divide it by 2.
No, I don't know division.
All right. I guess I'll throw in my last guy real quick. So Renardo Green stood out to me.
He's great. He is an interesting one though, because he didn't play in the slot until his final year. And it seems like that's his golden spot now. But they didn't play him he didn't play in the slot previously. And I'm pretty sure, what was the college he came from? He was only a 1-year starter. I mean, a 1-year player at FSU.
I had my notes that he played mostly in the slot in the beginning of his career, and then he slowly went over towards outside.
I mean, he was a slot at FSU.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like when he went to Florida State is when he flipped.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
In his career total, like
Where did he go? I can't remember.
Florida State.
No. Before that.
Oh.
I'm trying to think. It's driving me nuts. Because I was looking at his stats from those years as well.
Yeah, he played mostly outside in Florida State.
He's a tough dude.
He is.
He is a tough dude. He is going to punish you if you come his way. There's no question there. I liked him a lot actually. I'm trying to see, where did I have him? I had him at 19 on my list. But I mean, that just tells you, how great this group is. The only issue I had with him is he did have 6 penalties, which was one of the highest on my board. And he's very handsy. But his physicality is fantastic. He had 13 pass breakups.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, that was up there too. Yeah, he just plays throughout the whole route. That's why I like him. Sticky man, cover guy, efficient and mirroring receivers, and great in run defense. Just
he punished running backs.
Yeah, just one of those guys that also looks confused in zone. So
I agree.
I don't really.
Yeah,
and
I saw a few plays where he wasn't covering somebody, and he's like, "Wow."
Yeah,
like it's oof. That was a little rough to watch.
Yeah, he doesn't like misdirection. He always falls for it because he just wants to lay some people out or make a play. So
yep.
That's the only 2 things I saw. That's why he didn't make the top 10. But
I also didn't see enough of him watching the quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah, he doesn't turn his head around a lot there. That's where I thought he was weird in zone. He's too focused on what the receiver's doing. But yeah, he's just great. I love watching him play though.
Yeah, he's great. He is a really good player.
What about what do you think? Favoritism score?
3 out of 5.
3.
3.5 out of
A
5.
4 out
Maybe.
of 5 for Kalen Carson and a 3 out of 5 for Renardo.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Neither of them were very high on my board.
That's fair. All right. Well, I think that'll about
Listen,
wrap things up.
you gave my love like a ranking of 21, so
I feel like it doesn't hurt me what you did that as much as it hurt you. So
yeah, it hurt a
it's
lot
fine.
more. It hurt bad.
But all right, wrap it up. That was our corners. If you guys have any other thoughts,
Tell us
guys
in
who
the
you thought should have
comments.
been higher or lower,
Tell
or
us who you think sounds better, me or
the Otter. But yeah, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
I know
And
you're gonna say me.
all right, bye.
Bye.